Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to our Standing Watch program. I've recently talked on this program about food shortage and food rationing in the United States of America. And since the program, much more has been discussed in the world press about this possibility, even though some, if not many, dismiss that idea, saying it's really not all that bad. But, my friends, let me just tell you, it's worse than what we have suspected. And don't you believe those who tell you it's not really all that bad, because they don't tell you the truth, or they are deceived themselves. Let me read to you from an article which was published by the Washington Post on April 28, and I quote, "Across America, turmoil in the world wheat markets has sent prices of bread, pasta, noodles, pizza, pastry, and bagels skittering upwards, bringing protests from consumers. In North Dakota, many farmers are cutting back on growing wheat in favor of more profitable, less disease-prone corn and soybeans for ethanol refineries and Asian consumers. The breadbasket of the world, which had elevated hunger and famine since World War I, now generally supplies only a quarter of world wheat exports. Nationwide," the article goes on to say, "there is now less wheat in grain bins than at any time since World War II. Only about enough to supply the world for 4 days. Can you imagine that? Only enough to supply the world for 4 days? And we are talking about it's really not all that bad. My friends, we are talking about a lack of supply in food for the United States. Pretty soon we will be experiencing it. You've all heard about this cyclone in Burma and how much devastation it has caused. Now people are saying that the estimates of the people who have died is far less than what actually is to be expected. I found an article this morning which was published by the British tabloid The Sun, and listen to what this article has to say about it. Sources said 200,000 people were already dead or dying, but the figure could rise to 500,000 through disease and hunger if the nation's hardline army rulers continue to block aid for the devastated lowlands. A spokesman of the exiled opposition party pointed out, "Much of this will be a man-made disaster caused by the military regime. The bodies need to be collected and burned as soon as possible, or disease will claim many more lives. But the government has organized nothing, and its 400,000 soldiers are doing nothing, while undistributed aid piles up." He goes on to say they are hoping bodies will be washed out to sea, so the final count is smaller. But it could kill 500,000 people within a matter of weeks. The world must know what is going on. Unfortunately, the world knows, but is unable to do something about it, because the military regime has prevented aids to reach their people. They have actually confiscated aids, which was just delivered by the UN. It shows again the incredible amount of human greed and lust for power, which prevents people to be helped. But you see, the devastation in Burma is not limited to just the people in Burma. It's not limited to just this country, because you see, we are so intertwined and interrelated today, and if something happens in one part of the world, it will have an effect on other parts. Notice this article, which was published by Times Online on May 5. "The flooding and destruction of sanitation systems increases the risk of epidemics, including malaria. The stricken area is Burma's richest agricultural region, and the cyclone must have wrought terrible damage on the rice crop. World rice prices are at a record high already, provoking food riots in more than 30 countries." And then the Associated Press added on May 7 that, quote, "The Rome-based UN Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that 5 states hit hardest by Saturday's cyclone produce 65% of the Southeast Asian countries rise. Can you imagine, my friend, what kind of a devastating impact that's going to have on other people in that region? And ultimately, what it's going to have on the United States, because we are exporting grain and rice and other commodities. And of course, when we are exporting them, we don't have them here in this country. At the same time, the economy is not getting any better. And food prices are rising and gasoline prices are rising. I just heard that some are now speculating that by summer we may have to pay $6 a gallon. An unheard astronomical figure. And we are also being told that for the last 10 or 15 days, years I should say, none of the parties have done anything to prevent this disaster from happening. We knew it was coming and nothing happened. And today promises are being made and they are not going to be kept, my friends. Let us be perfectly clear. No political candidate, whoever it is going to be, who is going to be the next president, is going to be able to change things tremendously, so much so that we are not going to face the disasters we are talking about today. It is high time, my friends, we are waking up to reality. It is not the time any longer to put our head in the sand like the proverbial ostrich. But we have to understand that terrible times are going to come upon this country as they are going to come upon the world. The Bible gives us answers to questions which we have to ask. The Bible tells us, it gives us a promise in the book of Psalms. It says, the righteous will not be taken away by famine. He will be delivered. He will be saved when famine comes. Now, either we accept this promise or we don't. But if we do, then we have to ask ourselves the question, who is the righteous? The Bible gives us a definition. It tells us, all your commandments are righteousness. But many people today believe the commandments are done away with. We don't have to keep them anymore. Jesus Christ came to do away with the commandments and the law. But Christ did say just the opposite. He didn't say, don't you think I came to destroy the law? I didn't come to destroy, but to fulfill. Now many people say, oh, fulfill just means destroy. He did it for us, so we don't have to do it anymore. Well, Christ then would have said, don't you think I came to destroy, but I came to destroy. That doesn't make much sense, does it? And so if we want to be righteous, if we want to be delivered from famine, if we want to be protected, then God tells us, keep the commandments, all of them. How many are willing to do it? Are you willing to do it? You're going to face terrible times pretty soon. Now is the time to wake up out of your sleep and to become awake. Thanks for watching. This is Norbert Link for the Standing Watch program.